And so going into that, I was hoping that you would give us some terminology, some vernacular, some conversation that we would have with ourselves that would lean towards that instead of leaning towards, even when you think you are leaning towards that, it seems like you catch yourself leaning towards the, where is it, when is it going to get here, who's going to bring it, you know. I've left a lot of that behind. I really feel that I'm talking about things more so that I feel good in that moment, and so I talk about why I want what I want, and I just wanted some fine-tuning.
Well, you see, when you talk about what you want and why you want it, you remove contradictory energy from it, because in the why there are no missing factors that cause you to activate any vibration of resistance. Right. You're really onto something here. You sat down and you wanted us to find a way of helping you be more allowing about the contrast itself. And we think that that is such a brilliant observation, because when you are observing contrast, some of it not wanted, but you have an attitude, this is contrast for me to pick from, nothing is being asserted into my experience, and I'm not being forced into one part of it or another. This is contrast or variety from which I get to choose. From where I stand, what would I most select? There's total freedom in that. And in that total freedom, there's absence of bondage and absence of disempowerment and absence of resistance. And in that absence of resistance, then you just choose and flow and choose and flow and choose and flow. In other words, that would be the perfect way to move through life experience. So now, as we sort of come full circle in this teaching, some of you, not all of you, but some of you are ready to now step back into that attitude that you had the day you were born that says, I am good and I am choosing, and it is right that what I will choose will come to me easily. And if you could wipe the slate of negative expectation from your mind and believe that because you have chosen, the universe is giving it to you, because the universe is, your expectations would clear up, your vibration would clear up, and it would be as wonderful as saying, I choose that, I choose that, I choose that, I choose that. Now, let's build a case for the value of contrast. If everything you chose came to you immediately, we're just asking. If everything you chose came to you immediately, would that be beneficial or detrimental to what you're putting in your vibrational escrow? Just think about it. If every time you say, I like that, I want that, it came, do you think it would slow down the desire? Can you feel any personal momentum from knowing what you don't want? Can you?
It causes you to know what you do want.
Oh, you can. You can. You can feel momentum from the contrast. So now let's go back to this pile of contrast, and let's focus your brilliant minds upon it. And when you work on something, doesn't it gather more momentum? Don't you gather momentum by weighing the pluses and the minuses, the pros and the cons? Don't you benefit by sifting through the data? Isn't that the way you put your hands in the clay? Don't you want the data to deal with? Don't you want to feel the power of a desire being born within you? Mm-hmm. Don't you? Have you seen the little kids? Don't they tell you, I know. They don't want you to tell them everything that you know. They want to figure it out on their own. They want to know. They want the life experience. We're still here with you. We're still talking about the joyous deliciousness of dealing with the contrast and feeling the power of a desire. Yes, a currently not manifested desire. Yes, a desire that may manifest far down the road. But right now, in this moment, there is satisfaction from me getting to play in this game of life, me getting to be focused here with all this contrast, me getting to be a sculptor with a full palette of materials and colors and substances and textures, me having all of that variety here with my fingers in it, me getting to choose all of that and loving the variety and loving the skill with which I am learning to choose what I most want. I love this contrast. I love this contrast. I love this contrast and what it means to me, because my eternalness depends upon this contrast. My expansion depends upon this contrast. And yes, Even my joy depends upon this contrast, for if it were not for this contrast, I could not expand. And if I could not expand, I could not move forward. And if I could not move forward, I could not feel the motion forward. I could not feel the closing of the gap, which is what joy is. So there you have it. Contrast. The joy of my life. Contrast. The basis into which I am born. Contrast. The reason for my expansion. Contrast. Contrast has all that is wanted and all that isn't wanted, yes? So just because you're focused upon the part of it that you don't want, is that any reason to condemn the pile? Is that any reason to take what's happening so seriously? It was just a choice that gave you clarity, and there are a myriad of other choices. Do you need to control that one choice when there are a myriad of other choices? You see how you can turn the pile of contrast into something interesting, exciting, satisfying? And in the moment you do that, your step 1 will continue, but your step 3 will be way easier.
Yeah, okay. I think I'm going to go look for some contrast.
Well, you don't have to look far because it's in every particle of
Yeah.
the universe. It's in every person. It's in every conversation. It's in every piece of everything. It's in every nation. It's in every town. It's in every individual. It's in every relationship. It's in every particle of everything. You don't have to look far for it. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
But when you embrace it, when you devour it, when you adore it, when you understand it, now you're in charge. You're selecting from it. It's not choosing you. You're selecting from it.
Yeah,
Oh, we'll admit that sometimes you let pieces of it set your tone, and then other things like it come to you, so it feels like it's choosing you rather you're choosing it. But in the moment that you begin to adore the contrast in your attitude of I'm making the choices, you get your power back.